Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Warrior Lion Media. We are back after a long hiatus where we're going to start making content about sales funnels here again, showing you how to build different types of funnels, different genre of funnels for different niches. And today we're going to go ahead and launch with a simple opt-in page for landscapers or anyone else that's doing anything related to lawn care. This is going to be a good chance to go ahead and at least get the initial one. What we're going to focus on is the top part of this section, the above the fold, as they call it. And then you can go ahead and adjust the bottom or the lower section however you want it. We will also have a full version of this, a template version of this available if you want to go ahead and purchase this. But if you want just the top half opt-in, we'll have a free download of that down below also. So you can go ahead and grab this, the opt-in side of it. We're going to show you some cool features with this today, not just a straight picture, but we're also going to add some fading. As you can see, it goes from dark to light on this side. Some cool additions that are going to be added to this one. And it's, like I said, a great basic page for anyone that owns a lawn care or landscaping or any company like that. This you can go ahead and start using as far as the baseline. So you can go ahead and adjust it any way that you want. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this. I'm going to be building this in ClickFunnels. So if you do grab the free version down there, you can go ahead. It will be in ClickFunnels, just so you're aware of that. ClickFunnels 2.0, which is my preferred option as far as building funnels. So let's go ahead and start from scratch here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially take the content that's there, or the copy that's in there. The one thing I did want to show you before I jump in there, it does have a neat feature to it. Instead of just typing your email and going ahead and send that way, if you go ahead and click on the button, a nice little pop-up is going to pop up here just to kind of give you a little different dynamic to it. So we'll show you how to create all of that as we go ahead in here. So let's go ahead. We are here in the lab, what we call the Warrior Lion Media Lab, where we create all of our different testing funnels, we'll call them. And we're going to go ahead and start from scratch with this one. It is the basic process here where you're going to go ahead and click on this button. We're going to create it from scratch just so I can show you how to do it from scratch. But they do have all these templates if you want to go ahead and check those out also. But for this one alone, we're going to go ahead and create it from scratch. I'm going to call it landscape. We do have an opt-in, but we'll call it landscape opt-in 2. Just so we have a fresh URL. Don't worry about any of these. You can as you get in there, but as far as the base goes, we're not going to focus on the SEO and all that. I'll probably do a whole other video showing you how to do that process. So let's go ahead and create the page itself. And then it's going to go ahead and it creates the blank image there. So we're going to go ahead and click on edit. And now we're within the editing format, so we can go ahead and create our funnel itself. Like I said, this is a basic design, but there are little things in there that you want to keep an eye on. First, we're going to go ahead and add a section, which is that top section, that picture that we showed there. So you're going to go ahead and do a blank section, and the top section that we're basically building out is basically in two different sections, one for the logo and one for basically the sales pitch, you could call it. So we're going to go ahead and add two columners. So that was one right there. And let's go ahead and add another row, which is 2 columns. And this is going to create the base part of it. And then we'll go ahead and add a footer at the bottom here once we get this part created. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and add a logo. So here on the top left, you'll see add element. And then you can go ahead and scroll down on the right side and click on image. And what this is going to do is going to put a blank image element in there. If you click on that, it's going to go ahead, and if you go to image URL, you can either type in a URL or you can upload an image to ClickFunnels. We already have these images uploaded, so we're going to go ahead and grab this logo right here. And you see when it gets in there, it's huge, big. There's a couple things you could do about this in order to shrink it down. You can go ahead and shift over remember how we made the two section row? You can go ahead and shift that over a little bit, and that reduces it and also kind of moves it over to the side a little bit there. Or you can also go ahead and click on this, and there's an image width, which allows you to go ahead and reduce or increase the way you want it. I think this is good for what we're looking to do here. So let's go ahead and move forward, and let's go ahead and put the next section down. This is where you have basically the call to action, the hook, and everything that you need there. So we're going to go ahead and add some elements. So we'll click on that. I'm going to add a headline. I'm going to add a paragraph, and then I'm going to go ahead and add a button. So if you scroll down a little bit, the button, basically the hook, a little description around the hook, and then the button that they click for the call to action, so they can go ahead and submit their email address and move forward with whatever service that you're providing. So we have the basic ones out here. I'm going to go ahead and use just the text that I had in the other one, so I don't waste your time by typing everything out. So we go ahead and have that there. Basically, they're offering in this example is a free landscaping design consultation. Basically, a session where they have someone come out and talk about your lawn and provide recommendations. And then the hook is basically there. Are you ready to have your dream yard? Book this free consultation today. And then the button itself, we're going to go ahead. This one I'm actually going to type out because is it going to let me do it? No, it's not going to let me do it. So we'll go ahead and type this one out. You can do any call to action that you want. I'm just going to use, again, a basic one. Your free today. And just a quick, I did kind of jump through that really quickly. So let me go ahead and jump back and show you what I did there. In order to add the text in here, you got to click on it and you see it's flashing there and you see this darker bar up there. I can go ahead and type right on here if I want to go ahead and do that. The buttons are a little bit different. The buttons, you can't just click on this and type in there. You have to click on it and go to the button text. So you go in here and this is where you type it. You could also add some subtext underneath it. We're not going to do that for this one. But you can go ahead and do that. And you in here in each one of these, you can go ahead and adjust the text any way that you want to go ahead and adjust it. So we're going to go ahead and continue through here. In the example, I just happen to have them kind of aligned to the left. You can align it any way you want to, and I'll show you in I guess a few minutes, why I have them aligned to the left, and we'll do all the spacing here shortly once we get the image in there and can kind of maneuver around that. So let's actually go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put the color to this. And a lot of the times when you put coloring or however you want to put the coloring design or template or palette, I guess you could call it, with your pages, you want to have them all correlate. So you don't want a bright blue thing out there. I'm actually going to match it up with the what I have here for the logo. And you can have any logo that you want in there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the button like I did. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go ahead and click on the little three dots. And it's going to open up a lot more options that you have available. You can change the font, you can change the size, the weight, all that fun stuff. We're just going to focus right now on the color. And I know already that this color matches because I already did the design of this. So I have that color that I'm matching. If you don't know if it matches or not, you can go ahead and hit customs and you can find one that works best for what you're looking to do. This just happens to be what I'm doing here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of rounding to the edges so it's not so boxy. So I'm going to scroll down here on the left side. And then once you get down here to the corners, you see it's already selected, but the pixels at the corner is 0. If I go ahead and use this draw bar or this sliding bar, or I can go ahead and type it in there, and you can see on the corners, watch the corners over here, the higher I go, the more rounded it gets. So if you want just a little bit of rounding or if you want a lot of rounding, that's totally up to you. I'm just going to do this rounding as an example. All right, so now we have the text in there, we have the button in there. The button doesn't necessarily go anywhere yet. We'll talk about that part here in a few minutes. Let's get the background on there so we can work on the spacing that goes along with this. And this is kind of a fun part. Actually, let's always, as always, save ahead of time. Save early and often so you don't lose your stuff. That's with anything that you're working on with a computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the background in here. So if I go, you kind of see how when I highlight over different sections, there's a border, there's a blue border. If I highlight over here, there's an orange border. The orange border is the elements that are within. The blue borders are the rows, and any big sections that we have are going to have a green border like this. So we're going to go ahead and click on this little settings wheel for the overall section. And then I'm going to go scroll down just a tad bit, and the background's the thing that I want to go ahead and change. So if I go ahead and click on that toggle bar, it's going to give me the option to go ahead and put in there a background image or a background color. In this example, we're going to go ahead and put an image in there. As I mentioned before, I've already downloaded or uploaded the image, and we're going to use this guy right down here. So we click on that, and it's giant, and it fills up too much space, and it just looks awkward because you're just looking at a bush now. So what we're going to do is the image style. You can go ahead and make adjustments to that. We're going to go full centered and parallax. What this basically does is it zooms it down so it's all within the space that you have there. And the other cool thing about this is when we get a little bit bigger, when you scroll up and down the page, it actually scrolls up and down the page with you. So it gives a little bit more of a dynamic addition to the overall page itself. All right, now that we have this background image, you're going to notice a couple of things. It's really hard to see my logo and the words that I have in there. So what we're going to do, and I mentioned this at the early part of the video, we're going to add a shading where it goes from dark on this side all the way over to the picture, which is lighter on this side. So I'm going to go back to the sections and go back to the settings here and scroll down just a little bit. So once you're down here, you have a couple options with the color here. If you have an image on there that has a transparent background, you can go ahead and adjust the background color behind that picture. In this case, we don't have a transparent background. We want to actually put something on top of the picture, in front of the picture. So we're going to go to the foreground. If you go ahead and click on that, you're going to see it automatically defaults to this white color. It's half transparent and everything just got super fuzzy. So we're going to change it from the solid. If we go ahead and click on that to the gradient. If I click on the gradient, you're going to see that it goes from really dark at the top all the way to slightly lighter at the bottom. If the picture was bigger, it'd be a whole lot lighter near the bottom of it. We're going to make an adjustment there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on the side to side instead of the up and down, and that's going to put it over here. And now we can see our logo a whole lot better. Don't worry about the wording yet. We'll make some adjustments there here shortly, but we can see the logo a lot better now. What I would like to do is I'd actually like to go ahead and move the dark over a little bit so it's darker right around here. So I can go ahead here on the top and I can scroll that over and you see the shade actually moves over with it, which is a neat feature that we have here. And you can actually click on here and adjust whatever you want. If you want it lighter, if you want it darker, you can go ahead and make adjustments. If you want different colors, if say you want some bright red, you want to get someone's attention, you can do that. But for this case, we're going to go ahead and use the black on the one side. And on the other side, we're going to go ahead and use the white. And we're going to actually make it completely transparent. And we're going to adjust a little bit just so you can see the picture. And you'll see a little bit more once we do some of the spacing. All right, so that has our background picture. That's a nice addition when you're trying to get a vibrant picture out there with a lot of different colors, but you also want to see the words that are along there. So now what we're going to do is to make these words pop a little bit more, we're going to go ahead to the element and hit the settings there. And what we can do for that is just simply change it to white and it pops out really well here. It's as simple as that. You can go ahead and what we'll do is click on the three dots there again. It defaults to this, so I always switch it over to pixels. And you can go ahead and make it bigger if you choose to do so. And we just went ahead and did that. Do the same here for the next paragraph. Again, just go ahead and put it all the way to white so it pops out there nice and bright. Some other spacing that we're going to go ahead and do, I'd like to see more of this background picture and I'd like to take more of the above the fold section. So what I'm going to go is I'm going to go to section. Essentially what we're going to do is space it out and increase the spacing of this. So it takes up more space, so more of the image pops out there and you have a solid above the fold section. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and click on here. And there's what's called bottom padding, which is the distance between your bottom of your element and the bottom of the page. So if I increase this, you're going to see it slide down. So we'll go ahead and do that. And now you see more of the picture itself and takes it up more of the above the fold. And you can go ahead through that process, again, save early and often, where you can slide things around. What I may even do is I may even slide this wording down just so there's a bigger break between the wording and the logo. I could also make the gap between here smaller if I choose to do so. It really all depends on your preference on how you want to create this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the element. Instead of just doing the padding, which I could do that with the padding and do that type of thing. You could also go ahead in the top margin alignment, which gives you a little bit more flexibility. I can go negative if I want to go all the way to the top, or I can go ahead and scroll it down a little bit further. And if you want a lot of gap, you can go ahead and do both of these, and it's going to give you a lot of space. Not necessarily what you want to do. We'll just go ahead and do it that way. So I also want to go ahead and do is slide this over a little bit instead of having it right in the middle. Maybe just slide it over one spot, so it just gives it a little more of a compact view. Plus, it's a little closer to the darker side. I also want to go ahead with the spacing of the logo. Right now, these two line up. I don't know if I necessarily want that. I like the contrast of having it just the logo over just a smidge more. So I'm going to go ahead to the overall row for the logo, click on settings, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and increase the width. I could make it a whole lot smaller. I could make it a whole lot bigger. We're just going to go with a little bit bigger on this one. In fact, we may just do 1400. And there we go. Now it doesn't align, which adds the contrast there. And you can go ahead, and that's as simple as this is. If you want to go ahead and do it this way, as far as the design goes, you can make adjustments. I think this is actually a little too far. We'll go ahead and make an adjustment there. And then we go, we have a basic design. What I also want to go ahead and do, and what you definitely want to do if you're putting anything out there with paid ads, is you need a footer. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a basic footer with a logo and some text that goes along with it. And it's pretty simple. We had this picture is one section here. We're going to create a new section, and we're going to go ahead and add the section right there. It's going to be a blank one. It's going to be a one column one because, like I said, it's going to be basic. We're going to go ahead and add an image, which is essentially going to be the logo. You could copy the logo from above if you chose to do so. Just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go ahead and make it from scratch. Just like we did before, go ahead and select your image, which is going to be the logo for me. And you see how it is gigantic. You don't want a footer with it so big like that. What we're going to do is the image width. We're going to go ahead and reduce to whatever size that you want. That seems like a good size here. And there we go. We have that down there. And now what you also need to do is add the copyright and links to terms and conditions and privacy policy. These are just regulation things that you should have on all of your websites and all your sales pages. I'm going to create the text that goes with it. It's up to you to go ahead and create the actual page itself and make sure that you're linking to the correct thing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and add another element, and we're going to go ahead and just add a paragraph, which gives you this generic typing out there. I'm going to copy it right from my other page, and then what we're going to do is just paste it in there. What this does is it adds a basic copyright. If you want to add a phone number in there, if you want to add an email in there, that's completely up to you. All right, so most of the time you don't want this popping out here this much, so we're going to actually reduce the size of the text here. Go ahead and just click on anywhere in there. You can go ahead and either do that or click on the paragraph, the element itself, go to settings, hit the three dots here, and you can either use the drag bar here, or again, switch it to pixels. I normally, for the bottom, I like to put it at 14. It's big enough they can see it, but it doesn't pull their attention away. And you also want to do that with the mobile just to make sure. We'll talk about the mobile here in a little bit more in a few seconds. But that's a basic footer you have there. And then you go in here, and if you have the URL to where your privacy policy, you highlight it. You click on the link here, and you type that in there. Just a quick note on this one. If you want it to open to a new tab, make sure you click on this. If you don't click on this, it's actually going to take them completely away from this page. So you always want to do that with the privacy policy and the terms and conditions. So that's the basic footer. And you see now that I have a footer in there, you see when I drag up and down, this is the paradox, I think it's paradox or whatever it's called, where you have the image and it drags up and down. All right, this is the basic structure that you have for your overall design. We're going to go ahead and talk about the pop-up, because remember, when we click on this, where do you want it to go? Right now, it goes nowhere. It submits a form. They can't enter their email address. So we want to go ahead and make sure that when they click on this button, it pops the pop-up up, and they can enter their email address. So we're going to go ahead and click on the button. And instead of it having the submit order form, we want to go ahead and click on this and go to open pop-up. And you click on that, and there it goes ahead and and it changes it, and you can actually read it under the button to show you the correct version of it. You click save, and this is done. Now we're going to go ahead and create the pop-up that goes along with this, which allows you to go ahead and get whatever you want, whether you want their name, email address, or if you want to go all out, get their full address. I wouldn't suggest that. Get the email address, get their contact information, so you can go ahead and move forward. The less they have to provide, the more chance they're going to provide it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to pop-up and show pop-up, and right now it's a blank pop-up. So we're going to add a section because we always need to add a section into the page, because this is technically acting like a different page. So go ahead and build it like a different page, except for don't add headers and footers. You don't need to do that. So we're going to go ahead and add the section. It's going to be a blank section, and it's going to be into 2 columns. We're going to build it very similarly to this above the fold section. So we have that in there, and we're going to go ahead and add headline, paragraph, button. But the only difference with this is we're going to go ahead in between the text and the button, we're going to go ahead and add an input section, and we're only going to ask them for their email address. So we go ahead and click on the input, and since I did put it underneath, I can simply drag it above. You can move it around. It's drag and play, so it's really easy to do. So let's go ahead and copy the text from my example page, and we'll put this all over there. I did have that split up there into 2 lines. Then the next one is here. And we're actually, when you copy it over, sometimes it adds a couple extra lines in there. So make sure you delete those out of it. And then we're going to go ahead. I got to type this out again because I can't copy and paste it from my other side. So book my free session today. If I could spell session, that would be fantastic. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. Now we have that built out there. Just so it follows the same theme, let's go ahead and make the color the same as the other button. So you just go there, click on this, and we are using this color here because we used it last. The nice thing is if you use colors as you're going through, instead of having to search them up every time, there is the recently used section that makes things a little bit easier for you. What we're also going to do is we're going to round the corners just to make it, again, very similar to the other one. You can slide that over, you can type it in, it's up to you. And there we go, we have the basic structure of the pop-up. Now we want to go head through and add a background image just to let it, again, pop a little bit more. You can use whatever background image that you want to use. I'm going to use the same background as here just for the example. So in here you go to the green section area settings, click on the toggle for the background, just like we did before. Click on where you can get the picture from. If you want to update a new one or you want to grab a new one, go ahead and upload it. Like I said, we're using the same one. You can go ahead and use it super zoomed in like this, or just like we did before. This time we're actually going to use full centered because we don't necessarily we're not going to be scrolling within the pop-up, so we just want to go ahead and do that. And now what you're going to see is just like before, can't read this side. So let's go ahead and add that shading in there, just like we did before, the foreground. We're going to go ahead and use gradient, switch to there, slide it over a smidge, go ahead here, clean that up a little bit so you can see everything that you want to see. And there we go, we got that shading in there. And now we're just going to go through and update the text to white. If you find yourself using a lot of the same styles, you can go ahead and save different elements so you don't have to go and change the settings every time. You can go ahead and just pull it up. I'm actually going to shrink the wording of this just a little bit, the text size, just a little bit, just so it fits a little bit better in here. We could do that same with this too. It really depends on your preference on how you want this to look. Again, we're going to go ahead and probably put this down to 16. And there we go. So what's going to happen here is they go ahead and they read this, they enter their email address, click on this, and it's going to send you the email address, assuming you have everything set up in the back end. Then it'll take them over to a thank you page. The one other thing I wanted to show you with this, if you take a look at this, you have all this ridiculous whiteboarding around. We can get rid of that. That's easy enough to get rid of. So what you're going to simply do for that is you can't correct it in here. You actually have to go to the edit pop-up settings. If you click on that, so once you're in here, you're going to see a number of different sections, but the padding is what you want to take a look at. This is that, like I said before, this is what's called the padding around the image. So we're going to go ahead and decrease the padding here. Takes it all the way to the top. Decrease the padding here. It's going to eliminate the bottom. And if I decrease or eliminate the left to right, it's going to get the padding on the sides. So there we go. We have that. Save it like usual. And when you see the actual live version of this, you're not going to see this little box with a plus in there. That's not going to show up. The other thing that you can do, since we're using the same background between these two, to make a little bit more of a contrasting effort here, we can go ahead and put a simple border around it. We've got to go here, and there we go. Get to the sections, scroll down, go to border, hit the toggle, automatically puts a black border. For the example that I'm using, I'm just going to go ahead and put a white border around it. You can make it bigger, you can put a shadow there. It's up to you on how you want to go ahead and do that, but it breaks it up just a little bit. I like it. It makes it look just a smidge cleaner that it's broken up between the two. So there we go. You got the pop-up up there. So you're good to go with that one. So now now that we have the main page done, we have the pop-up done, we have the button that goes to the pop-up. The next thing I want to go ahead and show you what to do is make sure it's mobile friendly. If you look up here, you see a little desktop version and you see a little mobile version. If you click on the mobile, it's going to show you what it looks like in mobile. And this is where you go through and make adjustments. We don't have to make a ton of adjustments. You don't need to really worry about the background too much. It looks fine the way it is. The only thing I would probably suggest doing is maybe going ahead and remaking this section. And it's a whole lot easier to do than it sounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clone this section, which is going to give me two of the same sections. And then what I'm going to do in this top section, if I click on settings, I can make it only visible on the desktop. So we'll go ahead and click on desktop only. So now it shows up here and you see the red border around it saying that's only in the desktop. But you also see now I still have a second one here. I want this second section to only be visible in mobile. So what I'm going to do is the row here, click on settings, and I'm going to click on this button, which makes it only visible in the mobile side. So if I go back to the desktop, it's gone. You can't see it anymore, which is nice. But what you can do now is I can make adjustments to this so it won't reflect on the other side. I can eliminate different sections here. I can go ahead and click on here if I wanted to. I can go ahead and make this also only desktop friendly. So if I click back over here, that's now gone. If I want to get rid of this gap here, or at least reduce the gap, I can go ahead and click on it and I can make the adjustment here. And like I said, the nice part about this is it doesn't impact the rest of the picture. It doesn't impact the desktop version of it. So I can go ahead and do that. And there we go. We just made it a little bit more mobile friendly. And it just looks a lot nicer when you're looking at it on the phone. And that's as simple as that is. Like I said, this is a very basic opt-in page, but you did it. If you went ahead and followed along with me, you now have a simple landscaping opt-in page. If you didn't follow with me, but you still want it, go ahead in the description down below. I'll have a link where you can go ahead and grab this one and download it for free. If you want the full version, and when I talk about the full version, it has a number of other sections that are in here. It has the full thank you page. It has the scheduling page and a number of other add-ons that go along with it. It is a small fee because it takes a lot of work to go ahead and do that, but I'll have a link in the description down there for that. The nice thing about having the additional sections in there, when new people that don't know you are going to your page, they want to go ahead and there's a whole psychology behind it. There's different types of thinking. I'm not going to dive into the details, but each section kind of appeals to a different type of psychology or mindset of a person that helps them to go ahead and gain trust. And then they go ahead and want to work with you, your landscaping company, or whatever it is. So that's what it is. Again, if you like these kind of funnel builds, go ahead and let me know down below. Let me know that you enjoy these funnel builds if it helped you. Let me know what niches you're looking for, because I'll be happy to do some more, because I'm going to be doing a lot more. Also, just let me know if there's anything that you need from this or you have any questions. Again, in the description, there will be a link to the free version and the full version. You can go ahead and check those out. I hope you have a great day, and I hope this was helpful. I'll talk to you later. Bye.